Good evening. Thank you for attending tonight's Chamber Forum. I am Jason Bailey, and I'm your moderator for this evening. I'm a resident of St. Mary Parish and ambassador of the St. Mary Parish Chamber of Commerce and member of St. Mary Parish Toastmasters. We hope that you enjoy the program and leave feeling informed and able to make the best informed decision when casting your vote. Please stand for the invocation and pledge led by our Berwick Councilwoman, Ms. Colleen Askew.
Dear Lord, we are here to discuss topics that will benefit the people in our community. We want to think about how we can make life easier for everyone. Come and give us the wisdom to make the right decisions. Let us not make biased decisions, but decisions based on solving the problems in our community. Be our leader during this meeting. Show us the way because you have chosen us to be here. Give us direction and let us not think with our own selfish interests. Open our eyes to spiritual solutions and help us to make our community even greater than it is now. In your name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
Thank you, Colleen. Before we begin our forum, we would like to thank and acknowledge our dignitaries that have taken their time to be here this evening. They are, of course, Mayor Duval Arthur, Mayor Pro Tem Ludd Henry, and Berwick Councilman Kevin Abair, as well as Berwick Councilman Colleen Askew. Thank you. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to give his opening statement. As you see here on the stage, we have our timekeeper, Miss Lori Broussard. For this evening, she will hold up a sign when there is 1 minute remaining for your allotted time, and when your time is finished, she will ring a bell like so. Please be respectful of everyone's time this evening. We will begin with our introductions. Mr. Arthur, we will begin with you. Yes, sir.
My name is Duval Arthur, and I've had the honor to serve you for the past 4 years as your mayor. I've lived and worked in Berwick for the past 53 years. I'm married to the former Marquita Rodriguez, and together we raised our children and our grandchildren here. I attended public schools in Tangipahoa Parish and graduated from Ponchatoula High School. I later graduated from Nicholls State University in 1978 with a degree in criminal justice. All of my adult life has been spent serving the public in some form or fashion. I worked for the St. Mary Parish Sheriff's Department and retired in the position of the Chief Deputy. I retired from the Berwick Police Department as their chief and recently retired from Homeland Security. I'm a veteran. I spent over 30 years in the Army, retiring as a sergeant major. I was elected to the Berwick Council in 2006 for my first term, and I served 3 terms, and 2 of those as Mayor Pro Tem. I'm in my first term as mayor. Some of my community involvement is having served on following boards and commissions: 911 Communications District, Mental Health and Substance Abuse Advisory Board, Berwick Housing Authority. I was a commissioner. The PMAC, which is the Parish Emergency Management Committee. I served as their chairman. Local Emergency Planning Commission, LMA, Louisiana Municipal Gas Association. I served as a board member. These are statewide board positions. I also served on the St. Mary Parish chairman at one time as the chairman for Boy Scouts. I was the parish chairman for the Red Cross, past president of JC's, a board member for the Lions Club. I coached youth sports in Berwick. I was a DARE teacher for 6 years and presently announce Berwick High School games, which I've been doing for 24 years. Some of my awards in recognition are the United States Army Legion of Merit Award, the Morgan City Rotary Citizen of the Year for 2015, the Louisiana Department of Veterans of Foreign Affairs. I was the Police Officer of the Year in Louisiana in 1994. In 1995, the Louisiana Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year Award I was awarded that award by the governor of the state of Louisiana. I received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Louisiana Emergency Preparedness Association for my involvement with 15 years as the emergency manager for St. Mary Parish, working for Homeland Security. And St. Mary chapter of the Marine Corps League gave me the honor of being a Lifetime Achievement Award winner in law enforcement. Life is good in Berwick.
Thank you, Mr. Author. At this time, I would like to also recognize Judge Aucoin. Thanks for being here. Mr. Boudreau, you're up next.
Can everybody hear me? Thank you, Duval, from the bottom of my heart for all you've done. You really have. Anybody who's a veteran, I appreciate them. I know what it is. My name's Jesse Boudreau, and the question I got asked last time, the same thing again, why are you running? I want to make Berwick better. I'm married to a beautiful woman named Norma. My son graduated from Berwick High School. My daughter graduated from Central Catholic. My granddaughter graduated from, she went to Berwick Junior High and also graduated from Berwick High School and with a 4.0. She's now at Tulane in research and doing a wonderful job. My grandson Sawyer goes to Berwick Elementary. Again, when you look at the accomplishments Duval had, I have no problem with that. It's just that I think that there's a different way to go as far as Berwick is concerned. We need to bring industries in the businesses, whatever have we said this last time. It's tough right now. This is a tough environment. Again, I'm here to offer my service to you, and I come from an all-field background. I ran many companies. I took companies that were just starting off with 3 to 5 to 7 people. And one particular company in Houma, Louisiana went all the way up to 380 to 500 people on a weekly to monthly basis. My job was to run them, organize them, make sure that the job was done, and make sure that everything went according to what we planned and within budget. I'm very familiar with running a budget, staying within a budget, overrunning the budget a few times. I'm here to ask you for your support. If you give me a chance, I'll say one thing. I believe in my core thing that I have is we just experienced something my daughter teaches, and there was a bomb threat, and to see what happened with the kids and the teachers, my top priority will be strictly security for the kids and for teachers. That's number one, no doubt. If you choose to elect me, I will say this. You will say, well, if nothing else got done, he was definitely on the side of the teachers and for safety. Thank you again for all of you who have come here. I'm a little nervous. Second time around, but I'm a little nervous. But I ask you to consider me. I have cards that tells you basically a little bit about me. But again, thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Boudreau. The St. Mary Chamber invited the public to submit questions prior to this evening's forum and has accepted questions from the public upon entry tonight as well. Due to our allotted time, I will poll 10 questions at random this evening. Each of you will have an opportunity to respond and then give further comment or rebuttal if needed. I will repeat the question twice, and if needed again, please just ask. Each candidate will have 2 minutes, a 2-minute time frame to give their answer, followed by an optional 1 minute for further comment or rebuttal once each candidate has been given the opportunity to respond. Again, each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to the question and 1 minute for further comment or rebuttal. We will alternate between the two of you for each question for who will respond first. When the bell rings, your allotted time is finished. So let's begin. Mr. Author, we'll start with you. From the outside looking in, Berwick is doing extremely well. What promises can you make to continue this forward momentum? I'll read it once again. From the outside looking in, Berwick is doing extremely well. What promises can you make to continue this forward momentum?
Well, I think should be pretty simple for me. You know, when we had our election 4 years ago, I got 5 brand new council men and women. For most politicians, they pulled out their hair and said, man, this ain't going nowhere quick because we're never going to get anything accomplished. And I've seen councils and mayors do that, but I was oh so wrong. I have the perfect council. They are absolutely perfect. And I think the citizens of Berwick recognize that, and nobody ran against them because of the fine job that they're doing. They come to me with ideas, wonderful ideas. So are we going to be able to keep doing what we're doing? I got this council for 4 more years. And as long as I got them, I think you're going to keep seeing improvements in Berwick.
Thank you, Mr. Author. Next, Mr. Boudreau. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I'm
Okay.
good. There's no doubt about that. A lot's been done in the last 4 years. They got a lot of money from COVID. And again, I've been here a while, and I've seen the administration before them. It was pretty tough. And again, as far as moving forward, one of the things I thought about was the other question to stray a little bit was the fact about bringing business into the Berwick area. There's a new CEO with Dollar General Store, and they're trending toward fresh produce. Now, again, one of the questions that we had was about having a store in Berwick. This is one of the first things that I would pursue. In other words, would be to talk to find out how committed they are and what are they going to do about it. But they just opened a store in Morgan City. I hadn't looked at it yet, but it was a trial balloon, and it's worked out pretty good. I've looked at the results of it just from question and answer and just from Dollar General, and they seem to be amazed at the amount of activity they had for fresh produce. I'm talking about above and beyond eggs and milk and whatever have you. This is one thing that I look at just off the top of my head. But again, the business environment is going to be rough right now, but there's always a chance to pursue it. The last time I talked when I ran for council, I talked about the hub. The hub would have been right on the end of Thurgeston Drive where Thurgeston and 90 meet. It would have been phenomenal. We're talking Amazon, we're talking Walmart, we're talking Rouse's. You would have been amazed. And my whole idea about the hub was to begin with was the fact that every kid that come out of Berwick High School didn't want to go to college. They had a chance to get with Walmart, with Amazon, and with Rouse's. They would have had a future. We're talking about 8 to 12 to 1,500 to 2,000 jobs right there. Again, I don't want to go into details, but it was shut down real quick. Again, it's still open.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Boudreau. Any further comment? You have 1 minute.
Okay, Mr. Boudreau, 4 years ago you said you had companies just waiting out there, and they were in the trucks waiting to come to Berwick when you got elected as mayor. What happened to them trucks? I've been looking for them. What happened? I'm going to give you a chance to answer that in just a second. I have called countless businesses, attended business surveys, did all kinds of things trying to get business to locate here. Our council's been doing the very same thing. They have been working their behinds off trying to get business to locate here. It's just been tough. But you said you had businesses lined up to come here. And I'd like for you to tell me what happened to those businesses.
Very simple. I wasn't elected. Number one, I tried to talk to somebody about my idea, and that person walked away from me. And again, it's no secret to what we're talking about, and it'd take a lot longer than I have time to express. But the main thing would have been we'd have brought beef in, half a cow, and split it right there and cut it up. And from there, 2 buildings for Walmart, 2 buildings for Amazon, and 1 building for Rouse's. Again, everything we're talking about when the time is right, when the people are ready to do something. There's no way they would do anything at all under the conditions that were at that particular time. They were waiting a little while longer just to see what the economy went, and it did go up. And again, when we're talking about what happened to the trucks, I could have pursued it. I went to a council person. I asked him a question and got shot on. And I'm not being negative or ugly. It's just the way it is. I understand that. But again, that's one of my things.
Thank you, Mr. Boudreau. Thank you. We'll move on to question number 2.
Can I get a rebuttal? I still didn't get an answer about what happened to the trucks.
Thank you. All right, so question number 2, this is for Mr. Boudreau. What could the town of Berwick add to have more recreational options for our children? Once again, what could the town of Berwick add to have more recreational options for our children? Mr. Boudreau.
Thank you. I think one of the biggest things, my grandson is 9 years old, and he's been through basketball, he's been through tag football, and he loves soccer. And again, I'm not trying to bring Terrebonne Parish into St. Mary Parish, but if you go to Terrebonne Parish, if you go right down 311, there's a soccer field. If you look at that soccer field, it's amazing what they've done with that. And it's just it's phenomenal. It started about 20 years ago. And again, soccer is one of the things, all you have to do is come out on Saturday morning and go in the back and see all the kids in soccer. So soccer is one of the things that every kid can participate in, and they like it. So why not do something about it? In other words, there's certain things can be done, but let me just say this first, and this is for all the ladies here that go out there in the soccer field and go to the bathroom. That would be my first priority, would be to rebuild that bathroom. They need to do that. In other words, again, I'm not throwing arrows at anybody, but soccer would be one thing that you could look at that I think would really pick up, and then you pick up other things from that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boudreau. Mr. Offer?
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about recreation in Berwick, Mr. Boudreau. First thing, if you came across the highway on Saturday mornings, you'd see a field back there full of soccer teams back there playing soccer. We got soccer back there. My grandchildren play soccer back there. So we do have that. That's just one of many things. We have Dixie Youth Baseball for boys. We have Babe Ruth Softball for girls. We have Biddy Basketball for boys and girls. We have flag football, pickleball, golf at St. Mary Golf and Country Club, camping at Cypress Lake Campground. We've got 2 boat ramps for getting out, going for a boat ride, going fishing, going to hunting. There's just so much to do here, really. We're in the sportsman's paradise. We are in the cream of the crop right here in St. Mary Parish. I love it here. I wasn't born and raised here, but I wouldn't go nowhere else. This is my home, and I love it here.
Thank you, Mr. Author. Any additional comments, rebuttals? No. Thank you. We'll go on to question number 3. Question is, how do you fix the issue with abandoned cars overgrown yards, and dilapidated buildings throughout the city. Once again, how do you fix the issue with the abandoned cars, overgrown yards, and dilapidated buildings throughout the city? We'll start with you, Mr. Author.
Well, you hire a 92-year-old guy that used to be the chief of police, and you make him your compliance officer. Now, I want to tell you something. This guy works harder than all of us put together. He's 92. He's sharp as a tack. He goes around, he spots yards that need grass cutting, and because of his age, I think he can get away with asking them, hey, why don't you cut your grass? Or if it's an abandoned car, he was the police chief here. He knows how to find out about that car, who it belonged to, because he knows where the VIN is, if they don't have a license plate, or he knows how to go about getting that information. So, yeah, look, it's tough. Then we got problems with nuisance animals. We had a Vietnamese pot-bellied pig that was running loose. We had some of the meanest wild chickens you've ever seen in Berwick, and he corralled them and he got them. So my hat's off to that guy. He's doing a good job trying to do just that, keep Berwick clean.
Thank you, Mr. Duval. And now, Mr. Boudreau.
Thank you very much. I looked up the articles that they had on abandoned cars and abandoned vehicles and abandoned property, and I noticed they did a revision sometime in 2010, I believe, with the last people. And again, it goes about enforcement. I mean, that's a fine line that you draw. In other words, you got a 75, 80-year-old person that's living in a home that can't cut the grass or whatever have you. I could see the pros and cons on everything. The guy that's doing the job right now, he's phenomenal. I've seen him around. He's good. Every now and then I wave at him and he looks at me like I'm silly. He's a good guy. But I have nothing to say on that as far as other than the fact that it's about enforcement, but it's a very fine line when you're walking, and it's easy to get on the wrong side of somebody, and it's easy to do the wrong thing. So you have to use a lot of discretion. And again, I think Duval made a phenomenal pick when he picked the guy he did, because this is one guy that gets the job done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Boudreau. Any comments or rebuttals? All right, moving right along, question number 4. If you could change one thing in our zoning codes, what would it be and why? Question again, if you could change one thing in our zoning codes, what would it be and why? And we'll go to you, Mr. Boudreau.
The first thing that, and again, not lack of effort on my part, but all the zoning ordinance that you have in Berwick, tremendous. I looked at the internet, there's quite a few. And again, my suggestion would be to get the filter of the people and to find out if you have a problem. If you got 8 or 10 people looking to change something, zoning law or an article or anything to do, you get input from the people. That has been one of my strong points all through my career. I listen. I'm willing to listen, and I'm willing to say when I'm wrong. I'm willing to be able to cooperate with people and get people to put out their best in everything. And I think basically when it comes to this, this is basically all I have to say. I'm not a politician again. I could have researched everything on all ordinance and looked at all of them. All of them are good, all of them are bad, depends on how you look at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boudreau. Mr. Author.
I think all the zoning ordinance information in our law right now is it's not perfect, but what it has done, and look what happened in Fort Myers, Florida, with the hurricane that went through there. There was a subdivision less than 5 miles away called Cactus something, I don't remember the name of it, but all the houses in there survived. No roofs were taken off, nobody flooded, and it was due to the zoning ordinances that they put upon themselves in building their homes. If you don't have good zoning ordinances, when you go to building your home, it can be bad. I mean, and I'm not going to point out some municipalities in the parish that have had that problem, and they have, you got bars close to churches and just a whole bunch of different things. I like our zoning ordinances. I have some easement questions that I would like to ask about easement in the back and as well as the front. And other than those, and I really have not got a clear answer as to what we can and can't do about changing our ordinance to take care of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arthur. Now we'll go to Mr. Boudreau. Oh, we already answered. Yeah, okay, well, we won't then. We'll go to question number 5. All right, question number 5. How would you continue to fund road repairs? How would you continue to fund road repairs? Mr. Arthur.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you how many miles of road we paved in our first 4 years. It is phenomenal. 16 miles. We only got 26 miles of roads in Berwick. 16 miles of those roads we paved or put an overlay on them. We actually poured concrete on Front Street and raised the street 10 inches in an effort for businesses to be able to check their business in the times of flooding. The water won't get over that 10-inch street, and they will be able to go down and check their property, and maybe open their business and keep it open. Where do we get the money? Go Mesa funds, which are federal funds that are held in for cities, municipalities that support the all field. Berwick, with our mud houses, supports the all field. And we did that on Front Street with Go Mesa funds in order to help them. We also got about $80,000 of funds from a grant that we got. Right now we're getting ready to pave the last 2 streets in Berwick, 6th Street and Verson Street. And after that, all of our streets will be paved in Berwick.
Thank you, Mr. Arthur. Mr. Boudreau.
My dad used to always tell me, if you don't learn something in one day, you haven't learned anything at all. Learn one thing every day. I went through the process and kind of got an idea of how the money was allocated, just a little bit from different people that I knew, came from the state. A lot of them wasn't satisfied with the way it's distributed from the parish, which is another thing. And again, I think that's the whole thing. Looking back, there's no doubt about it, you've done a heck of a job with paving. But again, Duval, it goes back to the council people. That's what it's all about. That's what I've learned through the years. Again, I know about the block grant that was done, and that was done with opposition from the administration, but it still got done. And that was before him anyway, and I was told that directly. But anyway, yeah, it comes from the parish, and there's certain things you can do and you can't when it comes to the allocation. But again, I think it's time people to make a change. And I'm going to drift off a little bit and just say that, but the council people designate how much is devoted to each and every city or parish or part of the parish. And again, I think we had about 30% for Berwick. We had 30% for Berwick allocation from the parish, money-wise. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Rebuttal. Okay, and what Mr. Boudreau, I think, is alluding to is the fact that the parish redid some of their loans and got money from that. They, in turn, turned around and split that money up based on your calculations of how many people you have in each municipality. That's the percentage that you would get of that money. And that's how we ended up with that. I think we ended up with probably in the neighborhood of $2.5 million that we used to pave those roads and streets with. So that's where that money come from. The other monies that we've been using is, I'm a grant writer and I write grants. And I applied. We've got $70,000 last week for.
Thank you, Mr. Author.
Thank y'all.
We're about halfway through now, and I just want to remind you, 2-minute questions. You have a on a 2-minute question, you have a 1-minute response time. Moving on to question 6. How do you plan on fixing any remaining issues with drainage? How do you plan on fixing any remaining issues with drainage? Mr. Boudreau.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. This has been a beautiful question because this is one thing that really stirred me up the first time I decided to run for mayor. I live in Country Club. I had 4 foot of water in front of my house on the road. Not one time, but several times. Again, I did a lot of construction in my lifetime. And I'm not belittling or judging anybody, and don't misinterpret what I'm going to say. But drainage, we and I think Duval confirmed this after, it's all gravity fed. If you go down and you leave the bank, right down Highway 182 going toward the post office, if you look to the right, you'll see that drainage ditch is kept up clean. You look to the left, it hadn't been cleaned for years and years, not since I've been here. Again, Country Club is drains into one ditch. That ditch is clean all the way to the tree line. I'm not asking anybody to go look at that tree line, but when you go to look at that tree line, that's a reservoir and a drain for all of Country Club. Goes out of one ditch. Now it goes to a pump. I understand that. And I'm not blaming Duval because there was many I fought with several administrations before him, try to just do this, just clean this up, and let's try this and see. We just spent about $80,000 or $90,000 on another study. I think it's time to stop with the studies and go ahead. And again, as I said, if you'll decide to elect me, I can guarantee you within the 6 months, when you have the first divulge of rain coming through in Golden Farm and in Country Club, you're gonna definitely know that something's been done because you're gonna see the water going faster and you're gonna see it drain faster. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boudreau. Mr. Author.
Well, we did have flooding in Country Club on Mr. Boudreau Street on Hogan, and there were a total of 5 streets that flooded. We didn't sit on our haunches, but we got a water study done to find out what the problem was. I'm not an engineer. None of us on the council are. So we got engineers to go do a water study, and they determined what needed to be done. They gave me a dollar figure. I wrote a grant to DOTD for $1.6 million to cover the drainage issue and the replacement of the water pipes underground, and an addition of a 48-inch pipe along Patty besides all the other work we've done. But that project is getting ready to go out on bid. Getting ready to go out on bids. We're waiting on the paperwork to come back from Baton Rouge that's been approved by their engineers where we can put it out on bids. But it's just a matter of time. They've already marked all the streets. They've marked the driveways that we're going to have to dig up, because we're going to put a 20-inch pipe down below the houses so the water will go away. It won't sit out there in the street. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Very simple. Don't work. I've fought engineers all my life for 50 years. When they put them pipe down right there on Patty Drive, me and the councilman and the mayor had a few rounds. I can tell you. I told them before that it wouldn't work when they were putting the pipe down. The engineers, you're right about the engineers. But again, it's not the way to go as far as I'm concerned. I think there's an alternate solution to that besides that, and it would be plain and simple. There's certain ways you can do it, but again, it's just, I have an issue with the engineer, and there's no two ways about it. I'm not an engineer, but I've designed it. I've designed it from scratch. And I'm talking about 12 to 20 acres of property, put something on it, make it drain, and see that, and work out the little bugs that come out of it. And I'm not an engineer. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to question number 7 now. Mr. Arthur, we'll start with you. If given $1 million to do with whatever you wish for the town of Berwick, what would be a priority on your wish list? Once again, if given $1 million to do whatever you wish for the town of Berwick, what would be a priority on your wish list?
Well, I can tell you exactly what I would do with that $1 million. I would call that company with that big crane, and we'd go out there and get our lighthouse and bring it in.
Thank you. Mr. Boudreau.
The first thing I'd do is get input from the people and to find out what they'd want to do with $500,000. The second thing I'd want to do, and again, this is another thing it's a big secret, but nobody wants to talk about it, is the water line. The water line needs to be changed, and it's $1 million project probably, I'd say off the top of my head. I would designate that $500,000 to that water line, because sooner or later it's going to buy this. But my first thing would be to ask the people, what do you want me to do with this? And go from there, because again, the whole idea about not being a politician, I'm willing to listen to what they would do. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments, rebuttal?
We are in talks right now with an engineering firm, Bayou Vista and Berwick Water Boards, and we're going to have a meeting here at the Civic Center to discuss some additions to our water plant. Because we can't just depend on this water plant that's been here since the 50s to continue providing good source of water. We're concerned about it. We've got an engineering firm that's going to help us with it, find the funding, and do that work. As far as our pipes go, our pipes are okay. We're not having any problems with our water pipes. We're just concerned about our water plant, whether it's still going to be able to provide good drinking water. My reason for saying that I want to get that lighthouse in is you got to understand, we have a lighthouse. Make it real quick, but if we can get that lighthouse in, we'll have 2 lighthouses. You know how many cities in America have 2 lighthouses? Anybody? Anybody?
Thank you, Mr.
0.
Thank you, Mr. Appreciate it. Next, we're going to move on to... Yes, sir.
And again, I'm not that familiar with everything that goes on with the city, but one of the things that I thought about, and again, it's an alternative, and it's always good to have two pair of eyes on looking at something. My idea was, had I been elected, that I was going to pursue the fact of talking to Patterson. They got a brand new $22 million water plant. I'm pretty sure we could run a water line from Patterson to over here and have our plant for a backup. Again, there's pros and cons on it. I don't know all the details, but this is just an idea to be tossed around. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to question number 8. The crossbeam on the Long Island Bridge seems to get hit very often by trucks that should not be on that route. What is the likelihood of installing some kind of stop prior to that beam so the bridge would not have to be shut down as often? Once again, the crossbeam on the Long Island Bridge seems to get hit very often by trucks that should not be on that route. What is the likelihood of installing some kind of stop prior to that beam so the bridge would not have to be shut down as often? Mr. Boudreau.
Again, I don't know all the regulations you have with the DOT when you're dealing with the bridge and the particular incident we're talking about, but I'm pretty sure that you could get with the engineers again from the state and develop a system, and it's real simple. We've done it many times in the oil field, and it's a shear pin. You just put 2 poles up and you put a pole across, and it's got a shear pin. It shears it off, it drops on top of that truck, and he knows it, and it stops him right there. All you do, take the beam and it's a light beam, it's made out of aluminum, and again, it's a shear pin effect. And within an hour and a half, you're back, less than an hour, you're back to moving traffic. Whereas before, the last time when that truck got stuck, how long was it on there? It's very simple. Again, you'd have to deal with the DOT on it, but it's just an idea to run by. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boudreau. Mr. Author.
All right. That poor beam up there, it looks worse than that little sign out in Walmart shopping center used to get, what they call it, barber the sign. Everybody would knock it over. That beam has been knocked off so many times, and we've complained to DOTD. It's a design flaw in the way the bridge, when the truck goes up the bridge, it brings the cab of the trailer up and it hits the bridge. Engineers came down and looked at it, they agreed with that. They're getting ready to raise it to 14 feet. So from 13.5 to 14 feet, we should be able to have and get away from that poor beam getting beat up like it's getting beat up. But I don't advocate putting a shear pin up there and letting a beam fall on top of a truck, or what's worse, could fall on top of a car that's following the truck. So I like the beam staying up there and not causing a real catastrophe. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments, rebuttals?
The beam would be secured. It wouldn't drop on the ground, number one. No doubt about that. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll go to question number 9. Question number 9 is, how do you plan on bringing new business to Berwick? How do you plan on bringing new business to Berwick? Mr. Author.
Two weeks ago, I called a guy by the name of Blaine Broussard. I don't know if y'all know who that is, but if you ever heard of New News grocery store in Lafayette, he owns all of those. And I called him up and I talked to him about possibly getting a grocery store to locate in Berwick. And he was getting ready to expand one in Maurice. And the one in Maurice, once he's completed with that, he's going to come over and do a study in Berwick. And we may end up getting a grocery store from that. There's a lot of things coming down the road to St. Mary Parish. I see a lot of stuff on the horizon. And I'm not at liberty to go into any detail, because I don't think I'm supposed to right now, until plans have been finished to open up a store or open up a restaurant. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Thank you, Mr. Arthur. Mr. Boudreau.
Well, when you look at Front Street, and if you drive down Front Street, you'll see there's one company left, and it's Halliburton. At one time, I can remember back years ago, that was floating. The oil field is, I was in it for 50 years. I don't think it's going to be back ever like it was. You've been in this again. Without being in a position to approach anybody, it's hard. But there's opportunities out there if you once you get into the position where you can go ahead and pursue the companies. And again, this is not something I haven't thought about, but I would just say that I would do my best 100% to try to get better business in there, because that's what it's all about. The more business you got, the more money you're able to get from the parish and the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments, rebuttals?
You know, my hat's off to one of our council persons, councilwoman. Her idea was a food truck court on Front Street. And I'm going to tell you, it was a grand idea. People really like it. It's just becoming popular, more popular each and every day. It was a great idea, and we're all enjoying it. Those are some of the things that hopefully we can look forward to.
Thank you. All right, this is the final question, and it happens to be a three-part question. No, it's just one. So we have a lot of issues with cars speeding down our roads. How would you fix that issue? We have a lot of issues with cars speeding down our roads. How would you fix that issue? Mr. Boudreau.
My daughter lives in Lakeside, and I've gone there so many times without even thinking about it. When I turn left right there at that Gulf station, I'd go down the road and go to our house. And one day they put a portable thing up there, say you're speeding, you're going to get a ticket. Never realizing what the speed limit was. And I kept looking at it. Every time I came, it said you're speeding. I said, well, golly, I kept dropping the speed limit down on my car, and I kept thinking, I said, there's something wrong with this situation. Finally, I looked at, they finally had a sign by Morgan's that says speed limit 20 miles an hour. So I went 21, it doesn't trigger it. When you go to 22, it does trigger it. Every time I go now, they took the sign away. But anyway, I go the speed limit. There are portable machines where you can buy today, and against Duval's already looked at this, where you can look at, you can set them up. A lot of people are doing this right now. A lot of entities, different municipalities are doing this. It's a portable thing, and what it does, it takes a picture of your coming, and if you're speeding, there's 2 or 3D cameras that swing right to your license plate and catch it, and you can download it right to your computer system to where you can go back and write them a ticket, and you can, and it's legal. I mean, there's been some controversy about it. And again, you can look at the hot spots where you're having the trouble. You could put that portable unit just anywhere, and see where the majority of your speeding is done and how much it is, and analyze it, and put a cop there after to where if you got that much speeding going through. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boudreau. Mr. Arthur.
In an attempt to slow traffic down, we've installed different stop signs along different areas of the town. Not always did it work. We've tried. We put speed bumps out. People got creative. They went around the speed bumps. So we put double speed bumps in those locations in an effort to make people slow down and get them in a habit of driving slowly and carefully and safely so they don't accidentally hit a child that may be playing near the street. But we have made efforts, and if you ride around Berwick, you'll see speed bumps. I was never in favor of speed bumps, but I really feel like they're slowing traffic down. So you may see more speed bumps in Berwick.
Thank you. Any additional comments or rebuttals? At this time, each of you will have 3 minutes to summarize your candidacy. Mr. Author, we'll start with you.
I have to say we've been busy these past 4 years. I want to thank the citizens of Berwick for electing me as your mayor. This has been a very gratifying experience. I just wish I could have completed all the projects that we started out with. We are close to finishing the job, so please help me finish that job. And I'd like 4 more years to do it. I want to take a moment just to tell you about some of those accomplishments, and I'm going to go through them in a very hurried manner so Lori doesn't pop me with that sign over there. All the recreation, I already talked about that. We've got plenty of recreation. Some of our holiday and festival events that we take part is the Crew of Dionysus, the Shrimp Petroleum Festival, our Lighthouse Festival, completed 2 sewer line projects on the western end of our town. Chapelai River Estates subdivision is complete with 26 lots for sale. Water, gas, and sewage is 100% complete on Southern Oaks subdivision, which is a 5-plot subdivision on Highway 182. I'm glad to report the major drainage project on Golden Farms, Cantrell Heights, and Fairview subdivision is now complete. New culverts and new pumps. We used $600,000 in Go Mesa funds for a street improvement project to raise Front Street 10 inches. Our state DOTD in town of Berwick is financing a sidewalk grant, which I'm not taking claim for. It was done by Mr. Ratcliffe. It's just now they're getting ready to kick it off. It's a project around the older part of town to put sidewalks. We're putting money into the project as well at this time. We purchased numerous pieces of equipment, 3 new police cars, got 2 more on order, 3 new pickup trucks for our public works department, a multi-use trailer, and Honda asphalt pavement roller, a 65 kW generator for one of our sewer lift stations, 3 new John Deere Gators, a brand new Caterpillar long reach excavator, a heavy-duty forklift with a capacity of 15,000 pounds. Peak Roof did a new roof on City Hall. If you haven't seen it, it looks nice. They're in the process right now of redoing the interior. Our biggest challenge was the census. We didn't make what we thought we were going to make. We have filed an appeal with it. It hadn't got a response yet, but we're working hard on it. We received $1.6 million from the American Rescue Plan that we got 15 projects, one of which is the Brown House, an exhibition hall behind it.
Thank you, Mr. Author.
First off, I want to thank the Chamber for doing this. This has been an experience once again. I want to thank everybody for coming out. And again, I'm not a politician. Job well done to the council people and to Mr. Duval, no doubt about that. Again, I will reemphasize the point. If you decide to elect me, I can promise you one thing. I'm going to enhance security at the school, every school we have. I can guarantee you that. There will be I know they already set up a certain program that they have, but there's always room for improvements. And again, it's training and improvements. And certain ideas could be passed to the school board and done. That's number one. Protect our school and our children and especially our teachers. Number 2 is drainage again. I mean, I have my own ideas. Again, I could pursue them and if given a chance. And number 3 is the fact that I want to shout out to the police department. That's one thing that the council people have done an amazing job, and I really mean that. We ought to all thank them before we leave. But the police department has done a phenomenal job. I tell you what, I just want to give you a quick rundown of what happened. One day I was cutting my grass. Most people know I cut my grass, and I love to weed eat. And they had some people selling some steaks or whatever have you, and I said, where's the cop at? And I could see him coming down the road, and they did about 4 or 5 houses, and sure enough, there was Berwick Police Department right there. The guy stops him and talks to him. I said, good job, bro. He said, I'm gonna find out what's going on. And I mean, that's when you see the police, anybody with the police department, please tell them thank you. They do. The police departments all over are being bad. My son lives in New Iberia, and he told me there's not a week go by that 2 or 3 shots are not fired. And he lives in a good part of New Iberia. And again, we're blessed with the police department. I think we should all give them a lot of credit and a lot of thank yous. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Boudreau. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and participating in our chamber forum. And to those of you in the audience, taking time to be with us tonight. Our chamber president, Miss Beth Chasson, will close. And if you didn't know, today is her birthday.
Thank you. I would like to take a moment to thank our timekeeper, Ms. Lori Broussard, for taking the time to help us with tonight's forum, our moderator, Mr. Jason Bailey, my lovely assistant, Ms. Trinisha Hayes, for all of her work helping put all of these forums together, our media partners who are present with us this evening, KBZE and KQKI, and of course the candidates for taking time to be here tonight. Lastly, I would like to thank the town of Berwick for allowing us to use the facility for tonight's forum. Feel free to use the remaining time to meet with your candidates. Thank you for joining us, and have a safe trip home.